So the left-hand one here now was like your first half dozen swings this morning, of course, after we came for the lesson, okay? Good setup. I think grip pressure's a little bit tight, if I'm being honest. When we did some work on the explainer, I did feel like you were grappling a little bit with that stick there, okay? So exactly, yeah, trying to get more control sometimes. But yeah, loosen up that grip pressure will certainly help. So, but in terms of takeaway, I think you said yourself you try not to turn too much. So once you get to about here, if the shoulder stops, the arms have got to go somewhere. And they're just going to go up above your head. And the over the top now is starting from here already. The club at this point now is lifting. You can almost see your knees and your hips kind of almost like lifting up a little bit as you go back. Your head will start rising. Your weight now is on your toes. And the only way that club can come into the golf ball now is from out to in quite a lot. You can see your right arm now has covered your left arm. You look almost as if you're going to topple forward anyway. And generally that's going to create a path that's going to send the ball off to the left and then slice to the right. And depending on how much one way or t'other way you're going, you'll adjust the club face accordingly. But again, it's very steep, potentially at the ground quite heavy. This time of year is no good to anyone. So if we look at that release impact there now, compare that to, here we go. There we go. Compare that to this one here now again, where just turn into that right shoulder as much as you can. You keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. Your arms are able to sort of move round your body a little bit more. There's no lifting on here now. Now as the arms come back down, it's coming back through your shoulder more rather than through your neck area. Now the club at this point is kind of over your toe line. It's a little bit outside there, which is to be expected, but it's certainly in a better direction. If we look at the path just before impact here, we can see that club now coming into the golf ball. There's the club and there's the ball. So that's coming in from an inside path without you trying to shove your arm. Exactly, yeah. And then from here, you can just see, again, I know it's just a smidgen before impact, there's a bit of daylight between your arms there. I mean, you just look a little bit more on that right-hand one, kind of more here, John, rather than kind of shoved over the top. So this is the joint that causes the over top. That movement, that body part there is always going to be the issue. You created it by moving it less on the way back. In your mind, swinging it shorter prevented the over the top, and that's often the case. By shortening your backswing, you're now going to be more over the top, yeah? So get the sensation of swinging that right shoulder back as comfortably far as you want. The last thing I want you to do, Joe, is obviously put pressure on your lower back. There's no point. It's going to hurt yourself. So it's got to be as comfortably as you can without straining it or forcing it, okay? And then once you get to the top of the backswing, and this is often where some people often say, oh, when I get a good strike, it feels like I'm putting less effort into it. Or a lot of people sometimes say, I feel like I have a pause at the top of the backswing. What's actually pausing is this shoulder here. The club's still then moving back down, but it's having that split-second sensation of when it gets to the top of the backswing, you get up here now, and then the arms just fall without the body really doing much at all. So gravity's on your side now, speeding the club up. As the club then comes back to the golf ball, you can see your path now, that ball striking just right of the white line. And for me, in terms of balance, you look a lot more in balance there, whereas this one, over the top there on your tippy toe, whoops-a-days.
Awful.
Yeah, but that's the thing, your weight's going in this direction, so your body now, once it gets to that point where it starts losing balance, your first port of call now is, right, I've got to keep myself upright. So now the hitting of the golf ball is a secondary thing. So the ball just gets in the way of a hopeful swing with your weight kind of going whoop and doing that. Now if you're losing your balance with like a sort of 7 or 8 or 9 iron here on a flat lie, put yourself around rather. It's not the hilliest golf course in the world, but there are a few undulating lies on there. You get the odd ball below your feet. It's just going to be really tough, isn't it? Okay. So if we can work on what that right shoulder's going to do. Okay. Looser grip. Turn the right shoulder more. Keep him back for a split second long. And it really will be a split second. It might feel to you like an eternity when you first do it, okay? And what you might get as a result is a couple of shots where you just can't hit the ground a bit early, only because when you swing flatter, you change your low point, yeah? Think about that circle of the expirer. If I move the expirer to the right, the base of that circle would move round to be behind the ball, yeah? So it's just relearning where that ball is relative to you, yeah? And I think good golfer, you'll find that, yeah? And that's more feel-based, yeah? So you hit golf balls down the driving range and just sort of getting the sensation of how that club's going to work in this direction, as opposed to you trying to shove it out there, or, as we saw in the previous thing, swinging it in this direction, yeah? Your way of compensating for the over the top is just trying to shove your arms out right, which unfortunately it's just not a consistent way. You might flick it once or twice and get away with it, where you get way on the inside and you flick your hands at it, but it's a 1 in 10, and then the 9 out of 10 that don't go right are going to probably be all over the place. So does that all make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much.
Excellent, good stuff.